My name's Adam Manaka and I'm the Financial Controller for Hi-Tec Oils. With our national capacity, we can now service Australian companies nationwide. Of late, we have now expanded into the New Zealand market. Here at Hi-Tec Oils, we receive premium base oils and premium additive packs. Together, with our highly trained staff, we manufacture over 500 premium quality products. Hi-Tec Oils is Australian made and Australian owned.
The 2018 Hi-Tec Oils Drift All-Stars is here. Another year again of door-to-door action between the Pro and the Pro-Am Series. We've got one of our veterans from the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars, Scott Shembry, gun driver year after year, but now he's joining me on the commentary bench and have a bit of a yell. And I mean, with the day starting off already, what are you looking forward to?
Oh, day is going to be a killer year. I had a few laps out there yesterday in Jake Kennedy's car, and the line that the judges have done this today is going to be really good. We've got a nice high-speed entry against the wall. All the clips today are rear zone, so it's really going to help the chase car get up on door and put on a killer show.
100%. I reckon that wall and that first section are going to be absolutely critical. I mean, Wakefield Park is one of my all-time favourite drift circuits, having both the short and the long track. A lot of grassroots guys throw down and get close on that infield section, but now we're going to see how the pros and the Pro-Ams do it.
And here's the entry list. We got Aaron Duar there, Mitchell Cole, obviously Beau the Show Yates back for another year. Brad Toohey, Finney O'Hare getting that fluoro S15 out there. Couple of other big names, Rob Arbolino. He'll be driving the Matooks S14 today. And man, that thing's on point. But the guy to watch, Michael Prosnick, internationally renowned driver, really has a good technique on him. Another one to watch, Glenn Ormrod here, seems to be struggling a little bit with the extra speed of Wakefield in that naturally aspirated 13B Corolla. But he'll be throwing it down, and Scott caught up with him in the pits.
I'm here with Glenn Ormrod, the runner-up of the famous Insurance Pro-Am Series last year. Mate, you come out here for round one, you've stepped up to Pro, the old trusty KE let you down. What happened?
Yeah, so we stepped up to Pro this year, and we're building a new 86 for the season, but it's not done yet. So we brought the Corolla out, and unfortunately the motor let us go, and yeah, we're out for the day already. So.
It's not the way you wanted to start off the championship, obviously, mate, but obviously, like you said, you've got the brand new 86 in the build. Tell us a bit about the engine and the package that you're building up.
Yeah, so we've got the cage in already from Custom Craft. We did all that. We've got a motor coming on the way, 2J, and then we're just piecing everything together and getting it all ready.
So will the car be ready for round two?
Maybe.
Maybe?
Maybe.
Oh, we'll have to see out there. Obviously, get the KE sorted out for round two, but it's not finished, and we'll see you back out on the track, mate.
We'll do.
So the few issues there, Glenn Ormrod not getting into the top spots of qualifying, and of course we're seeing some familiar names up there with Brad Toohey qualifying fourth, the twin supercharged V8 singing away under the bonnet there, and Scott, here's your boy Rob in third.
Yeah, Robin back in trusty Tesla today. Unfortunately, the 350Z had a gearbox problem, so he's jumped back in that. Straight into Beau Yates. He's doing what he does best out there, Beau. That 2J is singing the Toyota Genuine Parts. 2J's E86.
Really using every inch of that track, but here is your top qualifier. Michael Prosnick just seems so comfortable with the speed, and all the way through practice was just throwing across that wall super quick and really nailed the judge line using every bit of track, getting to the outside clips, which is really where the judges are focusing this session, and managing to straight line through that back straight there and finish off the course. So really strong runs there, earning him a 96. Beau Yates only 1 point behind, and Rob Arbolino less than a point behind in that third position, with Brad Toohey and Aaron Duar rounding out the top 5 qualifiers. Man, we're going to see some tight battles today, Scott.
Yeah, Michael Prosnick back on top, back at Hi-Tec. We're going to go head down to the pits and catch up with Carly, who caught up with the man himself.
But Michael Prosnick just got top qualifier. Michael, how do you feel?
Yeah, it's not bad. Coming out of retirement, I had a bit of a break last year. Literally just dusted it off, chucked my race suit on and pulled out a first qualifier. It's pretty, yeah, it's not bad.
So you haven't done anything to the car since World Time Attack?
No, I haven't touched it. Literally just put fuel and tyres on, change the oil. The Dual Performance guys, we're sharing the car because we had a bit of misfortune with Aaron's car, so we're both sharing it. They build a good product and a good engine.
Tell us a bit about your sponsors anyway.
Gear Racing Wheels, SCR Drift, Dual's Performance. We've merged this year. We're running a 2-car team, so we're going to do the whole series and more together. Fuchs Oils, Saint Side, Blurred the Wrap, who does our wraps, and Hi-Tec Oils.
Well, the car looks great. Thank you so much for talking to us, and we wish you the best of luck out there.
No worries, thank you.
No worries.
Confidence with a smile, as you'd expect. So Michael Prosnick getting himself a bye there, where Josh McAvec will face up against Angus Kidd. Brad Toohey up against Glenn Atkins, back on track again in the FDRX7. Aaron Dewar and Finney O'Hare. Bo Yates up against the protege, Glenn Ormerod. Ben Meir and Michael Bonney, Rob Arbolino and Mitch Cole, and Daniel Christic and Warwick Hill rounding out the pro battle tree.
Standing next to me is the judges of the show, and we've got Dan, the head judge. Dan, what's going on? How do you feel the guys are going out there today?
Yeah, look, it's another round, it's another season. We're off and running again. You know, we've got some cars here. They're all looking really good. The guys have put a huge effort in the off season to make their cars look good for the show. Out as far as the driving's going out on track, these guys are absolutely killing it out there. You know, we asked them to get out there and to really send it and put a show on, and these guys are really doing it. I mean, you've seen guys like Bo Yates backing it in against the wall in the first turn. Michael Prosnick just absolutely owning everything that the guys Dan and James have set them in driver's briefing to get done. Yeah, look, I'm loving it. You know, we've got the same three guys. We've got Dan Keneally down from Queensland again. 20 years of driving experience. I've had the honour of battling him out there on the track. Another one we've got up is James Martle. He's come all the way up from South Australia. He's got his own track, JDMX Park, down in South Oz. I've had the honour of battling him as well, you know, so we've all had time on the track together. We've had heaps of experience. I'm loving it.
And next to us, I've got DK. Now, you've set the line for the drifters. Are they getting that line?
Yeah, look, the course that we've been given the drivers this week, and it's very tight and technical. It's a very traditional Japanese layout, so very fast entry, double clip apex on the first turn, 3 outer zones. So yeah, all the guys have basically filled the criteria we've asked them to, and it's going to be set up for really good racing this weekend.
And next to me, I've got Martel from SA. Martel, how are you guys going in the box together as a team?
Look, it's good to get back with the guys after driving with them for like literally 10, 15 years straight, and just getting all the experience together, combining that and making the show fair for everyone. It's really good and it's rewarding. And our scores actually, ironically, are very similar. So within 1 point, sometimes we're even. So it just goes to show that we know what we're doing, and we take a lot of pride and pleasure in doing it.
So the judges are on the case today, and it's going to be a really interesting one to see how these drivers step up from the second and possibly third gear track of Sydney Motorsport Park's Figure 8 onto Wakefield Park, where you can use every gear in the gearbox if you want. Good example of that here, riding on board with Brad Toohey with that big sequential box in there, leading Glenn Atkins into the technical tight circuit of Wakefield Park short track. So you see here, you're flicking up against the wall, coming into a sweeper that tightens really harshly, and then a straight in between two corners that is actually a bit longer than you expect it to be. So really need to control your wheel speed there, make sure you're linking the clipped zones, and you can see how big of a difference there can be in speed towards the end of that, with Glenn in the chase. So let's see how that goes with the positions reversed and the faster car of Brad Toohey now chasing.
Glenn Atkins in a borrowed car this weekend, unfortunately couldn't get his RX-7 together. Jumped in one of his mates and just jumped straight behind the wheel and oh, he's off. Commentators curse. We're about to say he's doing really well and he's in the dirt. Not the way Atkins want to end it as we ride along with Toohey for the rest of the track. You see come here. It's a nice long little straight clipping zone in the rear there, and they got a nice inside clip as they come in that last corner.
How's that? I don't know if that's accurate, but that big 5 on the digital dash there, I'm pretty sure Brad was in 5th the whole way through that infield circuit. Jeez!
Mate, his gearing is nuts. The torque that comes out of that LS twin Rotec supercharged engine is nuts.
A weapon, isn't it? Here we go. Josh McAvec leading Angus Kidd.
Oh no. What's happened? JK.
It feels weird calling him McAvey. I believe it is Josh Kelly is the only way I've ever known. The boy JK seems to be struggling there a bit with power. Angus Kidd in the big soup dog though, no issues with that thing.
You could hear the miss. JK has been fighting dramas all weekend. Brand new engine package in this car, SR20 running last year. This year's got the RB25 under the hood. They've been fighting issues. It's been getting some engine gremlins, but the boys were just trying to sort it out, get back out there.
I'm surprised you got through that without throwing in a bit of an SR wristy under the table there, mate. I know how much you love your SR20s, but, any engine package can work in drifting, and really the key to it is having something that's torquey across a usable band that's nice and responsive, and really you can pedal on and off control your wheel speed, control your gearing. So I believe that's where they're going to the RB25, a bit of larger capacity, hoping to get some performance out of it, but it doesn't seem to be working as Angus Kidd just steps it up to a whole other level out in front.
That Game On Motorsports Supra is singing this weekend. Big upgrades this season's on the north, up around 750 horsepower. He definitely came to play this year. As we take a look at Aaron Jouard, his S14 is our engine dramas this weekend. Jumps into his teammate Michael Prosnick's Dazza. This S13 is at home. Aaron Jouard built the car, so he knows what it's about. Let's see how he goes in his first up against Finney O'Hare.
Very highly developed this S13 here, but not to overshadow Finney O'Hare's S15 behind him. You know, this thing looks as good underneath as it does on the outside with that new The Wheel Shop fluoro livery, but Finney just doesn't seem to be getting the hang of it quite there. I know he's a driver who really prefers to drive out on lock stops, using a lot of angle, and you know, as much as that might work for the entry into Wakefield's short track, there's a lot of shallow angle stuff that can trip up some of these Wisefab fronted cars.
Finney's just one of those good blokes for drifting. He's been fighting dramas with misfires and dramas in a cooler piping, but you know, he's always got a smile on his face, and he said he's going to have it ready for round 2. Big entry from Finney, but look at Aaron Jouard there in the borrowed Dazza mobile from Michael Prosnick.
I mean, you can excuse Jouard for being just that little bit off the wall there while Finney threw down without a care in the world. But I think, you know, in that earlier run, Finney just not quite piecing it together, and the fact that Jouard behind him did leave a bit of a gap, but was nice and controlled here, you know, flicking in, not too many bobbles through there, chasing in, coming right up to the door there, through that inside clip, and then just staying with him while Finney straightens. Jouard manages to maintain the drift there with a bit more of a tip in. So Finney there gapping away, but as a result of straightening, that's a pretty obvious win there for Aaron Jouard.
Listen to that rotor.
Another rotary replacing where the mighty 4AGE should have been. I'm sort of about it. This is D-Lam Dan himself, Dan Christic, that you would have known from that 20B turbo-powered FDRX7 of last year, loudest car in the pits by far. Now switching it up with in his typical orange, but in an AE86 this time. Interesting chassis change.
Obviously Dan at home with his rotors and actually looking very comfortable in his Toyota 86, but on his door is Warwick Hill himself in the Foreman's 2JZ BMW. Big rebuild over the season. They've done heaps of mods to this. Nice fluoro yellow paint job inside. Done some suspension modding, and he's here to play with the pros.
Listen to them both sing through that final judge section. Bit of gentlemanly work on the line, and now Warwick Hill will be leading Dan Christie.
Boys come down the straight. A little bit of a gap there from Wazza.
It's a great thing about Wakefield Park as well. The wall here is lined as well as the hill. Fantastic spectator circuit.
A little bit of a bubble there from Christie, but he's back on the power. That little 86 rotor is singing. They come for little S's onto the back straight.
See, Christic managing to put something a little bit neater together through there, but just the proximity was really lacking. So Warwick Hill outclassing him a little bit there and going through to the top 8.
By the show coming out for a buy run. Going to put it down for the crowd, everyone at home.
So for those not familiar with how the battle tree works, our top qualifiers, if there aren't enough drivers to fill the top 16, the top drivers will get a buy run. Now, that buy run, all they have to do is rock up to the line, leave under their own power and return to the pits. But, you know, people who have their eyes on the prize as much as Bo Yates does will not miss an opportunity to go out and practice, get familiar with where those judge lines are and really nail what their battle is going to look like.
Those green wheels will belong to Benny Meir, who also has a buy run, that 311 Motorsport S14. Looking better than ever. Benny and his dad. Such a killer combo out here. Always got a smile on their face. Always willing to help out when boys are down and needing a hand in the pits. Big LS under that bonnet.
I've always been a big fan of that intake setup as well. It's got to be highly functional, but it just gives the car so much character as well. So that is how our top 8 is shaping up. Michael Prosnick will face off against Angus Kidd. Brad Toohey against Aaron Jouard in Michael Prosnick's borrowed car. Bo Yates up against Ben Meir, and Rob Arbolino against Warwick Hill. Now that car borrowing could cause a concern, because if Prosnik and Dewar both get through, one of them is going to have to step back, and I'd imagine it would be Aaron Dewar, considering he has borrowed Prosnik's car. That's how it'll be shaping up on the other side of the break, and don't go anywhere. We've also got the Famous Insurance Pro-Am Series to come. Welcome back to round one of the Hi-Tec Oils Drift All-Stars, diving straight back into the action from the top 8 of the Pro Series.
Before that, let's go down to the pits and catch up with Carly, who's speaking to the new tyre sponsor of the series, Good Ride Tyres.
Craig, tell me what you guys are doing out here today.
Look, we're just excited to be involved in the Hi-Tec Drifting Series with our brand Good Ride. We've brought a lot of tyres here for the boys and see how they can perform on the day.
Cool, and tell me, what's Good Ride Tyres' involvement in drifting?
Well, we got a drifting tyre specifically designed for the drifters, and we just want to be here to compete.
So you're enjoying the whole event?
Yeah, it's been a great day and the weather's turned up.
Yeah, excellent. And much tyre changing happening here?
Yeah, hopefully over 200 tyres today.
Perfect. All right. No, thank you so much for having a chat with us.
Thank you.
Sunshine and smiles down in the pits as the series grows year after year. New sponsors on board. Kitten Ultra also joining the team here, and you know the pit atmosphere wouldn't be the same without the help of some of these sponsors and the crowds they draw in. There's our top 8 ladder, and we're going to head straight now to our top qualifier, Michael Prosnik, facing off against Angus Kidd.
2JZ versus Dewar's Motorsport engine.
Listen to it. Oh.
Watch Pros peek through the gears as we come down the straight. Oh no, Angus.
Pro's out there on his own, but I've got to tell you, that was a beautiful entry out against the wall there, using the handbrake to adjust his line and try to get right out to that outside clipping zone that the judges have asked for. So this judge section has no inside clips, but you do see the cones on the outside of the track that the drivers are expected to fill with the whole rear section of their car. Tell you what, Pros did a very good job of that.
Obviously the Game On Motorsports 2JZ Super is having drama as he stops, so Prosnik's going to put on a show for the crowd as he does.
He does not mind torching it, does he?
That car's had years and years of abuse and just loves it. Jump on board, just have a listen. Sponsored by Gear Racing Wheels, SCR Team Drift.
You know, with the form Pros has been showing not only through qualifying and practice, but now into the battles as well, it's going to be interesting to see as we get to the pointy end of the ladder who is going to be able to chase him. I love that note from Ben Meir on the dashboard. Be ruthless. I believe it, Benny.
Always good to have a couple of notes in there to fire up when you're driving, especially against both Show Yates and that Toyota Genuine Parts 2JZ 86.
The speed is going to be really hard to match. You know, Ben Meir, not a slow driver. That car's got a lot of grip, V8 power under the bonnet, but you just watch this Toyota Genuine Parts 86 absolutely gap anything that's behind it. And that car's always been gripped up. It's had a mega load of power, and I think about 500 kilowatt or so at the wheels. So now on a course where that can stretch its legs, I think Bo's got a serious vehicle and mechanical advantage here. You pair that with his status as a veteran driver, and it's going to be a hard combo to beat.
Yeah, taking a look at the Good Ride Tyres replay here. Nice little camera view on Benny Meir's side of the car. You can see as Achilles tyres just hooking up and giving Bo Yates that little bit of a gap and advantage as we go into the second run.
The positions will switch now. It's Ben Meir's turn to lead. Bo will know how critical this is in the chase as well. He does have an advantage, but he's still got to turn that show on. That's the closest we've seen anybody chasing in off that straight there. And I just get the feeling that Bo's playing with him. Look how confident he is behind the wheel there. And I think this comes back to it as well, that it's just a different class of speed. There's nothing that Ben's doing particularly wrong in his line selection or his technique or anything like that. It's just such a big speed difference.
Jumping on board on that Good Ride Tyres replay again, you see Bo Yates. Nice chase run. As you'll say, nice and confident in that car. He's been doing it for a number of years now. Benny Meir up and coming, driving as much as he can, putting all the effort. Bo Yates is going to go through to the next round, but unfortunately this time Benny Meir will be on that trailer, but I guarantee he's going to be bringing it back at round 2 at Winton Raceway.
Jumping on board now with Warwick Hill, and you cannot miss that fluoro interior. It's got to lift your attitude a little bit and your mood. So let's see how he throws down up against Rob Arbolino in that Matux Racing S14.
Yeah, Tezza with a little SR20 on board. Oh, Wazza drops a wheel. Rob had a perfect line through that. Wazza chases him in, unfortunately just drops that wheel as they come through the S's. Just listen to the SR sing, mate.
I think that's a really interesting part to watch as well, and we'll see it again on the entry, is watching the rear wheels of Rob Arbolino from the first camera angle we saw before. He's using a lot less handbrake than some of these other drivers, and it's something I'm going to be keeping my eye on, and I welcome you to do it as well, is as we see the camera angle that faces back onto the main straight, watch what the rear wheels of these guys are doing, because everybody takes a different approach with their handbrake work and how to tackle that first corner, but the less you use, the faster you're going to be.
Spin him around. Performance Automotive 2JZ BMW up against the Matux Racing SR20 machine that is Tezza.
Here we go now. Let's watch the rear of these cars. Warwick coming in already on the handbrake there. You can see Rob right behind him.
Nice.
Only dabbing the handbrake a little bit there to stop him coming too close to Warwick. And then both cars blazing away through the infield, but Rob is all over Warwick in terms of proximity.
Oh, looking good from both the boys. A little bubble there from Rob. Shouldn't affect him too bad in the points. So we take a look at the Good Ride tyres replay. Wazza. Famous Insurance Pro-Am champion last year. Steps up to Pro. Back by Formance. Custom cluster development. Three fingers neat. Looking good. Unfortunately, this time Rob Arbolino is going to go through to the top 4.
Yeah, good drive from Rob there. I think he's going to be another one to really keep an eye on as we go through into the top 8. But a few more drivers to go now, and on board with Brad Toohey.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what Wazza brings to the table this year. There is your reigning champion, Brad Toohey. Let's watch him pick these gears. 1, 2, 3, 4. Aaron Jouar in that borrowed car. Oh, big lock.
Wow.
Oh no, Jouar follows Toohey into the dirt.
That's a really good angle there to see what's happened to Jouar. Is as he's flicked the car out, he hasn't quite expected it to go as far as he wants to. Wound on more lock to save it, but with a modified knuckle front end, when you put lock on there, the car goes to the left. It doesn't follow around the corner. You're not going into a spin. So suddenly, he's found himself a lot deeper in the corner than he thought he would, and unfortunately unable to avoid the dust a bit there. And you know, some might say the off could have been bigger, but with 2 wheels off there, that is an automatic 0. So as much as the car's okay, Aaron Jouar's hopes of getting through the top 8 are well and truly in the balance.
Brad Toohey really runs that wide line there. Has a slight wheel drop, but unfortunately Jouar trying to go on his door, puts it in a little bit too deep and ends up in the kitty litter. Let's switch him around.
Look at Brad, hungry for it, chasing that SCR Motorsports S13. Jouar doing his best to get away there, but Toohey is there with him every step of the way, just hanging out in 5th gear, blazing away.
Listen to those 2 LSs sing, 1 NA, 1 twin supercharged.
I'll tell you what, some people might have some things to say about how, you know, all you hear at drift events these days is LSs and V8s and blah, blah, blah. But I'll tell you what, when you listen to things like this that are highly developed, built, I mean, the Jouar Racing Engines NA thing in Pros's Beast swings to some ludicrous RPM, while Brad Toohey's Beast with twin blowers hanging off the side of it makes a glorious noise that I am keen to see in the top 4, and that's how it will shape up. So Brad Toohey, it'll be like deja vu, battling the SCR S13 again up against Michael Prosnick, while Bo Yates and Rob Arbolino will show down, and hasn't that been a heated battle in previous years, Scott?
Well, these two always love to throw down together and they leave it all on the track, so we can't wait to see what unfolds.
Yeah, and that's the thing I love about, even at the pointy pro end of this series, it's ultimate nice guys having a laugh in the pits. And you know what? Whether it's pro or pro-am, I feel like the attitude and the atmosphere is all the same. And one of the glory stories of this event, Daniel Mesmer, all the way down here from far north Queensland to throw down on Wakefield short track, and he absolutely slayed it. Isaac Gett up against Jake Kennedy. You got a bit of tutelage from the man yourself, Chef.
Yeah, and that Yakuza Motorsports S15. Just trying to help Jakey out. You know, he's a newcomer to the series, but he's got a great attitude and great backing and sponsors. So we gave him some help on the practice day, the Drift for Real, and really showed that he took it all in and showed them out on the racetrack. So
I'm digging the look of Paul Alexander's car as well out there. You know, some shiny work VSKFs on there, up against Grimace, as it's affectionately called. Blake Montgomery's R32 Skyline there, just bobbling around a little bit, not quite able to catch Paul Alexander right until that last section as a result of a straight, but he's given it a go, and that's what Pro-Am is all about.
So Paul Alexander actually getting a wild card entry into today. So if you come out to the Drift for Reals on the Fridays of these events, you may actually get chosen to have a free entry to the Pro-Am Series. So get your cars ready, get your boys down there and come out, throw down on the practice day, and who knows, you could get a free entry, throw down with the boys.
Matthew Grice out and chasing now in that Turbo LS Commodore with Ross Quigley in front of the S13. Now Grice doesn't seem to be having anything but bad luck with that Commodore there. Every time he gets into it, it just doesn't seem to be helping him. You know, bit of a dip off the inside of the track there. Saw him go home, and Ross Quigley go through to face off against our wild card, Paul Alexander, while Jake Kennedy and Daniel Mesmer will battle it out on the other side of the tree. Now, like I said, Daniel Mesmer down here from far north Queensland, a 30-hour plus drive and a mammoth effort to get down here. Before we head in and see him drive, let's head down to the pits and hear from him with Carly.
So this is your first competition, isn't it?
Yeah. Come all the way down from Cairns to do this competition.
Yeah, so I did hear that you had a really stressful week about something at the roll cage. What's happened there?
So I had a roll cage ship in from Melbourne, 4 weeks wait for it. Got it there the day before I was leaving. The roll cage was wrong, and the event organisers pretty well found me a cage that I could bolt down here, and I bolted it in and went out there.
You can see that he's eager to get stuck into it, and here is the battle now. Daniel Mesmer chasing Jake Kennedy for his first ever finals chance in the Hi-Tec Drift Allstars Pro-Am Series.
The Waz engine under the Yakuza Motorsports S15 versus Daniel Mesmer in that SR20 powered S13. Just watching the suspension work there from Jake's car. They come through the middle S's.
Seems to be a big gap there, and while Jake was blazing the rear tyres away there on the back straight, you know, could have been counted as a straight, and it's going to be interesting to see how the judges rule it. But Mesmer throwing down against the wall that he's never seen before today, or maybe yesterday with the practice event, but still very impressive effort for a car that you've towed this far and don't want to take home Ben.
Looking good, big Jakey there with leaving a big gap off the start line for Daniel, which is just giving him an advantage straight off the bat. There you go, the judges couldn't split him. A few mistakes from both the boys there. Just getting rid of some of those nerves. This one more run. Jake Kennedy has chosen to lead. How it works is the highest qualifier gets to choose whether either lead or chase when it comes down to the one more run. So they've got to lay all the way out on the racetrack and see who comes out ahead.
And it's really a difficult decision to make. If you go out in the lead, you get clear space, you get to do what you want to do. But if the driver behind you is hungry, they'll just follow you and copy each move you do. Whereas if you're very confident in your line and you know exactly what you want to do, or possibly you spot a weakness in the other person's technique, choosing to be in the chase there, you can really set yourself up for some close battling. And, you know, coincidentally, that's the position that Daniel Mesmer's found himself in. Had a little bit more skill and speed in those battles before, and ending up in the chase, it really worked for him, and now he will be the one battling out for the top step against one of these two. Paul Alexander leading Ross Quigley.
Oh, DB!
Not the VSKF!
Oh, how good was that? Missing those tyre barriers. Paul Alexander. While Ross Quigley just finishes his lap. 2 S13s, both LS, 1 supercharged, 1 NA. Just all came wrong there for Paul in that entry, mate. Yeah. Let's take a look at this replay.
Potentially going a little bit low on the tyre pressure
there you go. And like you said, those VSKFs just copying it. Not what you want to hear, but really good job from Paul there, missing that tyre bundle. Could have been disastrously wrong there. Ross in the lead, Paul in the chase.
Paul going closer to that wall with more angle, but as a result, dropping a wheel. Bit messy there unsure whether to follow Ross Quigley's shallow line or make one of his own for Paul Alexander. Both these drivers having dropped wheels, so that does level out the playing field a bit in terms of points deductions, but really a messy battle both ways, and that's what makes it really difficult for the judges. Is now it's a game of errors. Who made more errors and gets the points deducted from them, and they've made their decision there. Ross Quigley will be the one going through to battle out against Daniel Mesmer for the top spot in the Hi-Tec Famous Insurance Pro-Am Series. Now in the B final are the two people who did get not quite knocked out in the top four. It means that either Jake Kennedy or Paul Alexander will have a chance at that third place trophy. Before we see that though, our top four qualifiers will be facing off for the pro podium. Don't go anywhere. And we're back for round one of the Hi-Tec Oils Drift All-Stars at Wakefield Park Short Circuit for the very first time. Now, our top four qualifiers in Pro have also found themselves in the top four battles. Says something for the quality of our judges. They know exactly what they're looking at. And Michael Prosnick has been a real force throughout practice, then qualifying, now through the battles. And look at him ride that wall up against Brad Tui, and that was contact.
Tui is into Pros. Prosnick continues on the bake, using all that power coming from the Dewars Performance engine.
I really like the way he attacks that back straight as well. Just lets it blaze, straightens the steering up a little bit, then tips it in again. But here's where you're going to see the contact. Comes in hard, bang, just a slight touch on the door. But it looks like that's enough to actually hurt the steering in Brad Tui's car. Let's see what happens to the wheel.
Here we go. Wheel-to-wheel contact is never going to end good.
Ooh.
You really want to hit in front of that wheel because wheel-to-wheel just does too much damage. Let's spin them around.
Seems to be okay there though. Brad Tui getting it up and running, and look at that angle. Nobody has snapped an entry that aggressive except for Pros, but it looks like Tui's car potentially caused some damage in that previous contact, and as soon as he's gone to flick the entry, the force going through those tie rods was just too much to bear. And by the looks of things, it may have even damaged the steering box with both those wheels pointing the same direction, but steering wheel input really not doing all that much. Gives Pros the easy advantage there. In both of the runs, Tui making a mistake, so that means Michael Prosnick will be facing off against one of our next drivers for the top step, while Brad Tui has to claw his way back and hopefully secure himself a trophy, but it's sure to be a hard battle. The other side of the battle tree heating up as well, riding on board with Rob Arbolino, snapping gears as he eagerly chases down Bo Yates for this big entry.
Big entry in that Toyota Genuine Parts 86, but Rob Arbolino is right there on him in the Tooks Racing S14. Listen to that thing sing.
I saw Rob Arbolino down at one of the Revolution Motorsports days a couple of weeks before this, and he was really working on getting that speed up. And I tell you what, practice and familiarity with Wakefield's short track seems to be working for him. Rob just not giving an inch to Bo Yates, who was only able to gap him towards the end of the run as we head to the replay here.
Thanks to Good Ride tyres. As you can see, coming through the first section, Rob Arbolino's nice and tight on Bo to show Yates. Coming through the S's as they pick a gear. Right here, this is where Rob Arbolino starts to get lost in the smoke a bit, and Bo Yates pulls a small gap. Judges won't judge him down too much on that as they head around for the next battle. Rob Arbolino will be in the lead, and Bo the Show Yates will be in the chase.
Yeah, the rear grip and, you know, just general speed that Bo's car's able to pack on is really hard to battle. But I know Rob's going to be trying to balance that out with sheer aggression, and here it comes now. Rob in the lead there, pushing out to that wide line. Bo coming in, tucking into the door. Both drivers filling the outside clip where they need to. Nice emulation from Bo, but is that Rob opening up a little bit of a gap? I don't know if Bo will let that happen easily as he dives back in through the last section of the judge zone there. And there's the confirmation. Bo Yates will be facing up against Michael Prosnick, while Rob Arbolino and Brad Tui battle it out for the third step.
Let's see if Brad Tui can actually get his car sorted for the battles. We head down to Carly in the pits. Just having a chat with him now.
Obviously, the day was going pretty good. In the top four battle against Michael Prosnick, I knew he qualified first. So I knew he was super fast, and I think I maybe got a little bit keen bean and overcommitted. and chucked it in behind him, and we made wheel-to-wheel contact with my steering on full lock. It's actually bent my steering column. Yeah, so I went out to try. I did the 5 minutes and went out and tried again in the next battle, but yeah, I just pulled out of it. It wasn't safe to drive, so thought it best bring it in and have a look at it and see if we can get out there for the top 3.
So now you just took it for a little quick spin after repairing what you can repair because we're so limited of time and limited of parts. How did it feel just taking it down there?
To be honest, it's not 100% perfect. I can still feel a bit of a bind where the shaft is bent, but the boys are going to give me like a mechanical lap at least by myself, so I don't put anyone else at risk, and I'll just see. I'll make a call after that.
Yeah, we're all about the safety here as well when it comes to drifting too. So
not only ours, but obviously fellow competitors as well. So.
We're really reaching the pointy end of the ladder now, and while I'm sure all 4 pros are scrambling to get the cars prepped, there is no one with more stress than Brad Toohey right now, steering drums and a steering box to replace. Luckily, he's got the time of the Pro-Am Series to go ahead before he has to worry about that. So Daniel Mesmer will be facing up against Ross Quigley before they head out and battle it out for that top step. Let's hear from Ross with Carly down in the pits.
Got Quigs next to me and currently about to run into the top of 2. That's absolutely insane. So Ross, how's the car been today?
Car's been brilliant all day, besides for not having any gear but 3rd gear, so that's a little bit wild to get off the line. But
so at the start of the day, you had a slave cylinder issue. What happened there?
So we had to space the gearbox back because the slave cylinder was actually disengaging the clutch all the time.
Oh wow! So
and nothing but clutch slip yesterday all day. So today it's good.
Yep. So no, as long as today's good, you're all happy. So tell us a bit about your car. So I can see you've got the LS and the S13. Tell me about modifications and power.
It was built by Duos Performance Engines as usual for all the good LSs that are out in the field, like Prosnick's and Aaron's car themselves.
Yeah.
So it's a bloody strong motor and loves revving to 7,000 RPM all day.
Game face will be on for Ross Quigley as he faces up against Daniel Mesmer. You can see Daniel there on the line behind Jake Kennedy that we're riding on board with now, who will be facing off against Paul Alexander, one of our wildcard entries. Drove really nice at the Drift for Real practice session. Now he has the chance to potentially go home with a trophy, but he will have to knock out our famous Insurance Pro-Am top qualifier, Jake Kennedy, who has armed himself with a few tips from the MasterChef. Can you let us into inside his helmet? What were you telling him?
Oh, mate, you don't want to be in that passenger seat when I'm next to you and you're driving. So, yeah, I just gave him some lines to run and he listened. And when he was doing the wrong thing, I was just slapping over the head in the helmet and told him not to do that again. But, he's a good kid and loves to listen, and I'll be helping out for the rest of the season. And the Q's Motorsports guys are great guys, so happy to help where I can.
Yeah, it's not a drift event without a few choice lines to hype up the boys, and you really sorted him out there and got him through the session and got him motivated. Now riding on board with that famous Insurance replay there, you see Jake Kennedy get across the line with a big gap on Paul Alexander. How much of an advantage that'll give, we will get to see as Paul tips it in now against the wall, but a bit shallower than the judges would have liked to see. And the spin and the wall! Oh!
Paul throwing it all on the line and ends up into the tyre bundle. All Jakey has to do is finish this lap and he will be on the podium for his first ever event. He knows it too. Unfortunately for Paul Alexander, getting that wildcard spot, it was a dream come true for the weekend. As you can see, he must be running really low tyre pressure. Those wheels were nearly folding under those VSKFs again, straight into that tyre bundle.
Man, pretty unfortunate for Paul Alexander there. Seemed to be nice and settled and then just running out of lock and maybe rear grip there to bring the car back around. Lucky it was only a light tap on the tyre walls, but it still would have felt crazy from inside the car. Judges will decide who'll get the first. Oh! That's pretty...
Quiggs with the 360 entry there.
What a save, though. That's hard-in-mouth material there when you're up against that cement wall.
Let's jump on with Daniel Mesmer, the boy all the way from Cairns. 32-hour drive in his first final, in his first ever competition. This is what dreams are made of.
Looks like he spent 32 hours on Wakefield short track as well. That guy is killing it.
Look at Rossi trying to throw in the 360 entry there, giving the judges hands up in the air. Don't know where they're going to go.
Switching around, Ross will now lead. Hopefully he doesn't pull those sorts of moves in front of Daniel Mesmer. Taking a bit more conservative now, dragging the handbrake, just trying to get through the course and actually pulling a bit of speed on Mesmer, who might just be being conservative here. He knows he's got the advantage and really doesn't want to stuff up what could be his first trophy in the Hi-Tec. Well, really, he's guaranteed himself a trophy. It's just how big it is, and Ross Quigley is the one standing in the way of that top step. The 360 spin on the first one, getting some negative points for Ross, but you know what? A pretty tidy run in the lead.
Yeah, this famous Insurance Pro-Am Series, the feeder series for the Pro. Yeah, these boys are all newcomers to the competition, so yeah, they've got a bit of nerves, especially when it's your first final, so they'll get it dialed in for round 2, and we might see these two on the podium again.
Clipping that outside ripple strip as well. I like Daniel's style. So that is where the points have rounded up. At the end of round 1, we've got Daniel Mesmer in first position, getting 113 points. You can see the gaps down from there. Ross Quigley in second. Jake Kennedy will get third, and Paul Alexander only just missing out on a podium spot as our wildcard entry. But you know, he's demonstrating some real talent, as were the rest of our Pro-Am drivers, and that is exactly what the famous Insurance Series is there to do, is develop some talent, develop some battle skills, give some of these developing talents a chance of winning a trophy, and then step it up straight into the Pro Series that we're about to see now. With Brad Toohey facing off against Rob Arbolino. That is if Brad can get that steering box fixed in the 86. And then the A final, the one we're all excited about, our first place qualifier, Michael Prosnick, facing off against Bo the Show Yates, who was closely behind him and has been throwing down some of the gnarliest entries against the wall here. There is going to be so much interest in that final battle, but first, Rob Arbolino snapping gears and making the Tooks Racing proud in that 400 and something kilowatt SR. No stories here. This thing absolutely roasts. And Rob Arbolino, you know, even though he's got a buy run, there's no way he's taking home tyres with tread on them. So he's out there cooking for everybody at home watching. Man, I love the sound of this thing.
Put it on a show for the crowd. Exactly what we love to do.
Shout out to Brad Toohey though, really, you know, turning it up, earning his spot in the top 4, not only as a qualifier, but also throughout the battle tree. Unfortunately, a bit of contact with Michael Prosnick, hurting that steering box and then letting go in the subsequent run there. So Rob Arbolino has earned himself a trophy, and you know what? I'm sure he would have loved to battle for it, but that's just the way these things go. There's still one battle to go though. Bo the Show Yates facing off against the interstate threat, our #1 qualifier and internationally renowned drifting legend, Michael Prosnick in the SCR Motorsports S13. Talk us through a bit of this, Scott.
Well, these are the battles that Pros has had to battle today. Obviously, Brad Toohey, steering dramas in the grass there, not how you want to do it after winning the championship last year. Michael Prosnick in that S13 Dewars build performance engine, just on song. Let's shoot across the Bo the Show Yates in that Toyota Genuine Parts 86. First up, having to get through Benny Mee in that S14 311 Motorsport LS powered beast. Bo just being nice, steady on that steering wheel, smooth like butter. Benny Mee, nice little flick there.
Both absolute veterans of the sport, these two drivers. This is the last battle we saw Rob Arbolino putting in a valiant effort, but just unable to match the speed of that Toyota Genuine Parts 86, especially through the back section, because to be honest, front straight, first corner, and even into the second one, this was a really hard battle to split. And, you know, it shows how talented the drivers are getting at the pointy end of this series. I think it's a perfect time to let them step up onto some larger circuits and let them breathe, like we'll see at round 2 at Winton. But before we get there, the winner must be decided for round 1 of the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars down at Wakefield Park, one of my personal favourite circuits, lots of speed and a very technical track on this short track. A face-off between two veterans, you know, decades of experience out on track now.
Whoa, what's going on? Oh, Yates is not happy. Pros with the entry.
That's got to be one of the wildest we've seen all day. Smoke, noise, but all on his own. What's happened to Bo Yates there off the start line?
Obviously something happened off that start line. Yates' hands in the air. He's not going to be happy. That's not the way you want to start your championship year, in the final and not even getting off the start line. Let's have a listen. Oh, I think it's a tire. They beat it. You can hear a little pop there.
Yeah, you can see it. He grabbed first and it skates, grabbed second and it skates, which isn't unusual, but you saw the back of the car just flick around there.
So he didn't even enter? No, he didn't even leave. He got from
So the boys just having a discussion. Obviously the tyre debated straight off the start line. Yatesy.
What are these tyres on? Seriously, like 10 pound or what? Well, what are they doing with the lube on the tyres or something? How many tyres are falling off now? Both of them?
Flustered from that battle.
I'm not sure.
Emotions are high. Let's have a watch. There it is, off the bead.
There was talk there of maybe tyre lube, maybe the pressure's used, but either way, the tyres weren't held out on that bead, which is all the more critical when you are stretching tyres onto a larger rim. So Bo there, unfortunately, getting a 0 in his first run. It's going to be hard to grasp that back here, but he's doing everything he can. Tell you what though, it's been a long time since we've seen a car stick with Bo and have that sort of speed, diving him on the chase. This back section though is where Bo rockets away.
Ooh, big gap.
Big gap and possibly a big advantage for Bo Yates in the second run, but will the 10-0 from the first run be too hard to overcome?
Take a look at the good ride replay.
Pro's doing everything that he can there, diving in, not going anywhere amongst that smoke, but just that speed through the second section is so hard to match.
Michael Posnick getting lost in the smoke, but has done enough with that 10-0 in the lead, and he's your winner for round 1 of the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars.
There we are on the podium, decided, run and done. Michael Posnick up from Victoria, settling it between two New South Welshmen who've had their eyes on trophies in this series for quite some time. But at round 1, Pros now has established that points gap and will be our points leader heading into round 2. Now we know he's going to be back from interstate. That SCR Motorsports logo is going to be covered with a big target on his back as the rest of the drivers keep an eye out on him. And the keenest amongst them would have to be Bo Yates.
Second place, how do you feel about at the moment?
Second's good, obviously. First round of the season, so to come in second's great. But unfortunately, we had two D-beads in the final there against Pros, and unfortunately, it's no way to kind of bow out in a final. You know, it's going to be a long season. There's another 4 or 5 rounds to go, so hopefully we can catch the points up. But obviously ecstatic for the team, Toyota Genuine Parts, Achilles Radial, Komatsu, everyone on board this year. I mean, it's a big collaboration to get these cars to these events, and obviously the guys from Hi-Tec to put on the event again this year. I'm truly grateful for that. So, look, second place in the first round, as I said, is not a bad start to the season, but for me, I would have liked to be one step further. But anyway, Pros was the man to beat all weekend, so I take my hat off to him. He did a fantastic job, so he's throwing it down all weekend.
Definitely a shame about the tyres, but look, you put on a crazy show at the back, on the back corner there. The speed you're going, oh, that's insane. Do you know roughly how much speed you were going back there?
Oh, well, look, we're in 5th, so 5th is an overdrive, and the car makes plenty of horsepower, so we're going pretty quick, but that was probably just a little bit of frustration coming out, but I should probably drive like that more often.
Yeah, it was definitely a show. So, look, we really look forward to seeing you at round 2, and thank you for coming out here. It was really great.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Cheers.
You. So we've got the champion of round 1, Posnick. How do you feel right at the moment?
Yeah, pretty good actually. I haven't stood on one of these for a while, so it's good to be back up. Awesome event. I had a real ball drive on this track. Real ballsy, flat out. Had some hard competition with Bo. It really sucks. I don't like to, or vice versa. It's not the way how we win, and we've been driving together for a long time, so we have a lot of respect for each other. All the setup crew, the team, Hi-Tec, my boys, Dua, the guys cheering back home. This doesn't happen without them or without you guys. So you know, everyone get involved and grow it.
It's so good to see the positivity from a man with such immense talent who has found himself at the top of our pro standings coming out of round 1. So Michael Posnick in the lead, followed by Bo Yates, Rob Arbolino, Brad Toohey and Aaron Duar. 5 names that are so familiar from the last series. Benny Meir putting some solid points on the board as well. Angus Kidd and Warwick Hill. So, you know, we're really going to see some tight battles going into round 2 when we are heading down to Winton Raceway. We'll hear more from that in a second, but first some victory skids. Get up it!
Let's listen to this Duar's performance, engine sing, and Pos knows how to do a skid. Just covering Wakefield Parkway in delicious tyre smoke. Cruiser Motorsports S15 here. Big Jay Kennedy throwing down. On board with both the Show Yates, 2JZ Power.
Bit of a wall rub, what he's known for. Oh, dip it in.
The wildcard entry, Paul Alexander was telling me he loves just to do skids now.
Now the next one for round 2 will be Winton Raceway down in Victoria. Fantastic, fast, flowy circuit with a very grippy surface. Now we have moved to a 2-day event formula this year. Tell us a bit more about it, Scott.
Yeah, so Friday the 29th will be run basically as a drift for real, which is just a practice day, but the boys will be there getting their eye in, getting ready for the qualifying and the show on the Saturday. So bring your cars down, and you know, if you put on a good enough show, you might have that wildcard entry into the Pro-Am Series, free entry to throw down with all the boys and see where you end up.
So that's round 1 wrapped up with points on the board. We'll see you in June in Benalla for round 2 of the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars.